Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Thunder and today we're gonna be working on the building system. First of all, if you guys are listening to it a bit different, it's because I'm actually using a mic, not the actual just laptop microphone. So hopefully it sounds better. I checked it and did a comparison. My voice sounds a little bit better, but you can still hear some of the background noise. But it's at least a little bit better, so hopefully that's not an issue. Now, next thing. Today we're going to be working on the building system, but what we're going to be making is basically, it's going to be a simple building system because making a full-fledged building system where you can place things like foundations, then only on the foundations can you place walls on the specific sockets and everything. It's gonna be a little bit time consuming, and I don't want to make these super long tutorials. I'm trying to keep them as short as possible. So we're going to be making a simple just placement building system. But again, you can use this to make bases. You could just add a wall, which we might do if we are not running out of time once we're done coding it. But we can make just a wall that we place down, and it's like a high wooden wall, and that could make us a safe place for us in our game. And it should be pretty simple to expand upon it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to assets, scripts. Where are the scripts? Right here. And if you haven't created your building folder, go ahead and do that. So once you've created, just open it, and inside here we're going to create two scripts. First one's actually it's gonna be three. Sorry. First one's gonna be called building handler. Second one is going to be build ghost. And third one is going to be build blocked. On build block, we're not going to do anything to it. It's just to know if we cannot build in that place. The reason I'm doing it like this, I personally don't like to use tags, although we could just use tags for checking if it's buildable or not. But the thing about tags is you can only use one at a time, and if you guys want to do something else with tags based on whatever it is, checking for collisions or anything, it's going to be a little bit hard to adapt the code. So I just want to make it as modular as possible and as easy as possible for you guys to actually make the code your own and make your own game, expand upon the tutorials and everything. So that's why we're using a script instead of tags. Now, first of all, the way this is going to work is any objects you want them to build in, you don't want people to build in. So let's say you don't want people to build on water. Let's say the water had a collision. You just drag the script to the collider. You don't want them to build on the terrain, you drag that to the terrain. So you select the terrain, and then you just add the build blocked script right over here, and they won't be able to actually build onto the terrain. So I don't know why it's saying that. Okay, I'm gonna close everything. Terrain inspector cannot be found. Make sure that there are no compile errors and the file name and class name match. Okay, I don't know what that's going on, but why that's happening, but don't worry about it, we'll fix it later. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, we're going to go to our window handler script, and let's open it up on Visual Studio, and we're going to add a reference to the building handler. Hiding inspector. Okay, then again just public. Okay, just wait for it to load. There we go. Public building handler, and I'm just gonna call it building for short, but you can call it whatever you want. Now we're just gonna use this as a reference. Next, open up your inventory manager and go all the way up and right here create a private, actually not private, I'm gonna do hiding inspector first, and then we're gonna do public building handler building. And this one, on start, we're going to do the following: building equals get component in parent, and we're going to do window handler 2 parentheses dot building. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to need it for slot class. But first, go back to Unity, and we are going to open up our build ghost. Actually, not the build ghost, sorry, the building handler. But first, just so we make sure everything's set up, select your player, and then inside the camera look, not the camera, the camera look, we're going to create an empty called building handler. And inside building handler, we're going to create another empty, which is going to be called off ground. Okay, it's going to be called off ground point. Yes, off ground point. This is where building object will appear whenever we are not looking at any place. So just keep that in mind. I'm just gonna do 5 because that's gonna be the building range I will assign. You can see it right there, but you can do your own if you want. You can put it all the way up to here. It's up to you. Now on building handler, we're going to add, I'm just gonna look here on building handler, select it, and we're going to drag in our building handler script. Then go to player, go all the way down to your window handler. Okay, actually, we're gonna do one more thing. So survival game, go into window handler, and over here on start, on the window handler, you're going to do building equals get component in children, and just do building handler. There we go. Alright, now we have set it up everything, so we're going to go ahead and start coding the building system. This code is going to be pretty easy to create a new object, so don't worry about it. First, open up the build ghost script and the building handler script. I'm gonna open them both. And first thing we're gonna do on build ghost, we are going to do a public, I believe it is game object, yep, a public game object, and we're gonna call it buildable, build prefab. So this is what's going to get instantiated once we build. So if it's a box, we're gonna be showing a different prefab, which is gonna be your build ghost prefab, and then that's going to turn into the actual build prefab. So next, we're going to add a public bool can build, and then what we're gonna do is on trigger, okay, on trigger stay if other that is trigger. If it's not, so add the exclamation sign at the beginning. If it's not other that is trigger, can build equals false. The reason we're checking if it's not trigger is because a trigger collider doesn't has any collision, and triggers are usually used for a lot of things. For example, in my game, I use it for the player to detect if it's near a workbench, and you don't want the building system to be interacting with that because it's not really necessary, and it's really annoying, to be honest. So we're gonna do next on trigger exit if it's not other dot is trigger, is trigger again. Okay, I cannot type today. There we go. Can build equals true. Okay, this is done because of the same reason. You could be colliding with two objects at the same time, and if one of them is triggered, it's still gonna make you be able to build. So that's why we do this. Now, we're gonna go to our building handler, and over here, we're going to create a couple of things. First, we're gonna do a public slot, and this is gonna be slot in use. Next thing, I'm gonna make a space, and we're going to create two public colors. One is going to be public color allowed. So this is the color that's gonna appear in our build ghost when we can build. And then the other one, again, when we cannot build, so public color blocked. Then we're going to do a update function, and over here I'm gonna add two new functions. First one's gonna be public void update colors, and then the other one's gonna be public void update building. We're not going to be calling update colors from the update. Over here we're only going to be calling update building. Again guys, all the code I'm putting here inside these functions, you could put them in the Unity update function. The reason I don't do that is to keep everything organized and the code not being a mess. It's up to you how you want to do it, but I recommend you do it this way. Everyone has their own style of coding. This is mine. If you want to do it like this, it's up to you. Now, we're going to be adding, I believe, two more variables. So I'm going to do a space. Next one's going to be a public ghost, a build ghost, public build ghost. I'm just going to call it ghost. Then the other one is going to be public bool can build. And okay, we're not going to give it any value. Now, on update colors, here's what we're going to do. So if we can build by the building manager presets, so if we are looking at something where we can place it that is not building blocked, and the build ghost can also build, we're going to show it as the allowed color. Otherwise, we're going to show it as the blocked. If this one cannot build or the build ghost cannot build, we're going to show it as blocked. So let's go ahead and code that. First thing we're going to need is a mesh renderer. This, I'm just going to call it renderer. This is going to be equals ghost dot get component in children mesh renderer, and then we're just going to do this. So actually we're going to do the following first. We're going to do equals null, and then over here what we're going to do is if ghost dot get component, it would be, yes, it would be get component mesh renderer is not equals null, then renderer equals get ghost dot get component. Let me just fix this. Equals ghost dot get component mesh renderer. Then we're gonna do else if same thing, ghost dot get component is not equals null, but instead of get component we are going to use get component in children. Over here I'm going to do in children, and then I'm just going to copy this. The reason we're doing this is because in my case I make models in Blender, and to be honest I have no idea how to turn the Blender coordinate system into Unity's coordinate system, because in Blender Y is forward and Z is up. Unity Z is forward and Y is up. So I have to create an empty game object and put the model inside that empty game object. But in other cases, if you know how to fix that or you're using any other program, your mesh render is going to be attached to the same ghost build most likely. So that's why we want to support both cases. We're not doing in parent because literally it's impossible for it to be in parent. There's no way that will work with this system. Now that has been said, let's go ahead and actually do the color update. So we're going to do, first we're going to check if renderer dot materials dot length is greater than 1, we're going to do this. Else, we are just going to update one material. Else if is equals 1, we're going to do else if equals 1. Dot materials dot length equals 1 at the parentheses. The reason we're checking if it's equals 1 is because if it's not greater than 1, then it can either be 0 or 1. And if it's 0 and we're trying to update it, it will give us a null reference, and we do not want that to happen. Now, what we're gonna do in here is render. Okay, actually, we're gonna do if can build and ghost dot can build. We're gonna do render dot material, not materials, material without the s. Okay, renderer dot. Okay, renderer dot material dot color equals loud. Else renderer, there we go, dot material dot color equals blocked. There we go. Now over here we're going to do the same code but in a for. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run a for int I equals 0 if I is less than renderer dot materials dot length, then I plus plus. And now we're gonna copy this code over here and we're gonna put it here. But instead of that, we're gonna do material. Instead of material, we're gonna do materials, add the 2 square brackets and do I in the middle. Same thing for this, material. Now, let's actually code the building process. So first thing we're gonna do is if slot in use equals null, we're gonna do the following. First, we're going to check if or ghost is not equals null. If ghost is not equals null, we want to destroy because we're not building anymore at that point. So we're going to go ahead in here, ghost is not equals null, and then we are going to make it so we just destroy parentheses ghost dot game object. Alright, and then down here we just return. Now in the other case, that would be our slot is in use is set. That means we're actually building. So what we're going to be making is a raycast hit, we're gonna call it hit. Then over here if physics dot raycast, we're gonna do transform dot position, okay, position not parent, comma transform dot forward. Then we're gonna do out hit, and right here we forgot to make a variable, so let's go up or right below can build. Actually no, we're gonna do it up here above our colors. We're gonna do public float range. That's how far we can build. I'm just gonna give it a default value of 5. So down here we're gonna put range. Then inside here we're gonna do if hit dot transform dot get component, okay, component build blocked equals null. So this means we can build dot equals null. Then we're going to actually build. Else we are going to set this to the off ground point position. So we're going to do ghost dot transform dot position. Do we do the off ground position in here? Okay, we need that one too. Okay, sorry guys. So below our slot in use, let's go ahead and do public transform and we're gonna do off ground point. Remember to save everything. Dot position equals off ground point dot position, and then we're gonna do ghost dot rotation, okay, dot transform dot rotation equals get component in parent player dot transform dot rotation. The reason we're not setting it to the building handler rotation is because our building handler sometimes will be rotating upwards because it rotates with the way we look at. So the box is gonna appear really weird. So we don't want that happening. Now copy this else right here, and we're gonna do it also after if physics.raycast. Now next thing, the actual building. So in here, at this point, slotting use equals no. At this point, we're gonna do, I believe it is, okay. Well, I totally forgot about what I was gonna say to you guys, so let's do something else I remember. Over here, we're gonna do if ghost equals null, and this is where we're gonna instantiate our actual ghost. Now for this, we're going to have to go to our item.so script. Remember, this should be on your inventory folder. And over here, first on item type, we're gonna do comma, and we're gonna call it buildable. Then down here, below consumable, I'm just gonna add a new header, and it's going to be called buildable. And all we're gonna need is a public ghost build ghost and the ghost. There we go. Now, so let's go back to our building handler, and right here, if ghost equals null, we are going to go ahead and do ghost equals instantiate, and we are going to go ahead in here and do slotting use dot data dot build ghost dot ghost, sorry, comma, it would be off ground point dot transform dot position, and then we're going to do comma, get component in parent, and over here we're going to do player dot transform dot rotation. There we go. Now if hit.transform.getComponent building block equals null, so we can build, what we're gonna do is ghost.transform.position equals hit.point. So next thing we're gonna do is over here we're gonna make it canBuild equals true. Over here, we're gonna make it canBuild equals false. And down here, we're gonna make it canBuild equals false also. Now, after the raycast, we're gonna go down here, right after the else, and we're gonna do if input.getButton down, and we're gonna do fire 1. So if we hit the left click, we're going to actually build the object. So first thing we're gonna do is basically we're gonna do slotting use dot stack size minus, and we're gonna update it so it displays in our screen. Slotting use dot update slot. Now over here we're going to instantiate, and we're gonna do ghost dot build prefab, comma, ghost dot transform dot position, comma, ghost, okay, ghost dot transform dot rotation, okay, transform dot rotation. And then over here we're going to be doing and canBuild and ghost dot can build. So if they both can build, we can build. That means we can place the actual item and build it. So next thing, go back up here on slotting use if, and we're gonna make it if slotting use equals null. Okay, then over here we are going to do the following. If slotting use equals null, we're going to run another check right after this one, just to make sure that our slotting use is not equals null. If it is, then we're going to actually go ahead and check if it has items left, because we could have the slot empty already because we built it all that we could. So in this if, we're gonna do slotting use dot stack size equals okay, is less than or equal to 0, or slotting use dot data equals null. Then we are going to do the same thing we did over here. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm pretty sure that should be it for the coding part of it. So build goes, can build prefab. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe. Now, let's go back to Unity. Now, we're going to actually create our buildable object for box. But just keep in mind, the process we're going to be using here is going to be the exact same process for any buildable. So what you're gonna do first is you need an item data for the actual box item. So I believe I already have it created. So I did make the buildables folder and made the storage box in here. Now the reason this is done is because I tried recording this tutorial once. It didn't turn out too well, so I deleted all the scripts, but I forgot to delete this. But on item type, okay, there is an error. Yep. Okay, I forgot this. I accidentally added that. Okay, back to Unity. Just let it compile. Alright, so now we should be able to do it. So let's go to assets, items, and right here, just, right click, create a Babel game, inventory, new item. And on your item, you're gonna give it the following settings. So it's gonna be a buildable, then storage box, and just, the usual, name it, if it can stack, the max stack. And then over here, you're going to assign the build goes, which we're going to create in a moment. Now, over here, I believe I did this already too, so yep, I have it right here, but duplicate one of these dropbacks, so Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, then the duplicated dropback, just assign the storage box item and however many you want them to have. Next thing we're going to do, the storage box that you guys used on the last tutorial that you guys made, we're going to make a couple of changes to it. First, we're going to create an empty. Inside of it, no, we're going to create it out here. So create empty. I'm going to call it storage. Okay, storage. Alright, I cannot type today. Storage box. And then we are going to drag it into our box model for a moment. And we're going to give it the position of 0, 0, 0. Then, here's what we're going to do. You do not want it to be there. You want it to be all the way down to the base of it. Like about there, a little bit higher. You want it to be about there. Because that's the position that it's going to refer to. So this is going to be placed wherever you're looking at. If you put it in the center, the box will be halfway underground. So keep that in mind. Then the object that was inside here, the storage box, drag it out, and then the box model, you're going to drag it in the storage box. Now over here, you're going to remove the storage component and the box collider, and instead you're going to add it to storage box. So first thing I'm gonna do is, okay, transform the rotation. Yeah, that's good. Okay, add component, again, storage. Drag your storage slot prefab, so that should be on prefabs. So storage box, storage slot, then give it a box collider. I'm gonna adjust the box collider, so let me just disable the visibility of this terrain really quick. Right there. Just, you know, same thing as last tutorial, adjust it to the actual height. And I'm just gonna click in here and actually adjust to it. Then I'm just gonna up the X size. And now I'm gonna look at it through the X axis and up the C size. There we go. So that's it for the actual buildable. Although I am going to do one thing which you guys don't really have to do, but I'm gonna block the building on this item. First, for testing purposes, and second, because I don't want people to be building a full tower of boxes. So it's up to you. That's pretty much a gameplay choice. So you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to already build blocked. Now, what we're gonna do is first we'll need to make a prefab out of this. So again, go into buildables, into prefabs, right click and create the buildables folder, and inside here create a folder called ghosts. But first you're gonna drag this outside of ghosts, so into buildables, then right click on it, prefab, that unpack completely, and this we're gonna turn into the ghost. But first go into your ghost folder and you're going to create, okay, let me just delete all of this. You're going to right click, create material, and I'm gonna call it build material. Okay, build ghost, actually, build ghost. Now, this item that we just unpacked, so remember, make the prefab, then right click, prefab, and then unpack completely. Next, we're going to go ahead, I'm gonna rename it to storage box dash build ghost. And we're going to make it this material. So go ahead and drag this material in. And don't worry about it looking like that. The code will take care of it. Now, what we do want to do is, we don't want the collider at ground level, because this collider is the one that's going to identify if we are actually hitting something. Now, we're going to select this button. So click on it, and then on the box collider, click here. And okay, you guys can't see it because of the visual effects. Alright, I'm gonna do something. I'm just gonna turn this like dark so you guys can see it. But when you click in here, you can see these dots. This one, just drag it up at about that height. Why are we doing this? Because if the terrain has a slope, you won't be able to place it. So you'll have to place it on a flat terrain, and we don't want that happening. Now, next thing we are going to do is make the collider trigger so it doesn't collide. Make it trigger, and then remove the build object, build blocked. If you added it, remove it, and I'll add the build ghost script. Then you're gonna go to buildables and drag the actual builded object into build ghost. And that should be it. Now go to ghosts, make a prefab out of your build ghost, delete it from here because we're not gonna need it anymore. Then you're gonna go to assets, items, buildables, and select your storage box. First, go up here and lock the inspector so it won't change. And now we're gonna go back to prefabs, buildables, ghost, and we're gonna drag our build ghost right into here. That's it for it. Now we have to code so that we equip it. So we actually start building whenever it's equipped on the slot. So for that, we're going to need our slot script right here. And we are going to go to try use. We're going to add another type, which is going to be, I'm just going to copy this. So if item type is buildable, we are going to execute the build function. So we're going to create that. We're going to do public void build, try build. And then we are just going to execute it over here. Now, we're going to need our actual weapon equipping function. Okay, what the hell did it do here? Okay, never mind. Yeah. So this for that we unequip all active weapons, we are gonna copy it. So just copy it, and then we're gonna paste it in try build. Why are we doing this? Because we do not want any equipped weapons actually active while we're building, because we would be shooting and everything, and that's not something that would look really good. Now, after this for, we're going to do something. We're just gonna do inventory. Okay, actually, we're gonna do if inventory dot building dot ghost. Okay, that slot in use equals null. So if we're not building, we're gonna do inventory dot building dot slot in use equals this. Now we're gonna do else, and inside this else we're gonna do if inventory dot building dot slot in use equals this. We just stop building. So we do inventory dot building dot slot in use equals null. And over here we're gonna do if they're different, so we're gonna do else inventory dot building dot slot in use equals this, and we are going to destroy the ghost. So we're gonna do destroy inventory dot building dot ghost dot game object. Why are we destroying it? Because we're not checking for the ghost if the data of the slot in use match. So over here, we're just gonna destroy it so it gets regenerated with the actual ghost from this slot. Now there's one more thing we need to do. Go into your inventory manager and go to the drag and drop function over here. So we're gonna do something similar to the weapon equipping. We're gonna do slash stop building, and we're gonna do if from equals building dot slot in use. We just do building dot slot in use equals null. And now we're gonna do the same thing but with 2. If 2 equals building dot slot in use, we do building dot slot in use equals null. Okay, hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. I'm pretty sure I'm not, but maybe I am. But that should be it for coding in everything. Now we're actually going to go ahead and test it. So let's hit, actually no, go into your player, the building handler. Okay, first unlock the inspector, and we're gonna drag the off ground point over here. Don't worry about the ghost nor the slot in use. That's handled through the code. And then just assign the colors you want for allowed and blocked. I'm just gonna do a light blue. And then over here, make it sort of transparent if you want so you can see through the object. I'm gonna give it half transparency. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for this over here, but with red. So about there. And that should be it. Let's save it. I'm just gonna clear the console and test it out. Okay, just wait. There we go. We're here. Now, okay, that footstep just scared me. Pick up your item. Don't worry, it looks like this because I didn't give it any icon. Put it in your hotbar, then equip it. And you can see it right there, although we're having an issue. So I don't know why it's looking like that. Okay, let's just make sure that we can build. So, okay, there is a error somewhere. Alright, I'm gonna solve this error really quick, show you guys how to do it. So I'll pause the video and I'll see you guys in a moment. Okay guys, I'm pretty sure I found out what the issue was. So first, go into your building handler script, and over here on the raycast, if hit that transform.get component building block equals null. Remember, this is on the update building function. We're going to do first ghost.transform.rotation, and I'm just gonna copy this from here, equals get component in parent player.transfer.position. That rotation, sorry. So we're gonna do this, and then over here, at this point, our ghost shouldn't be null because we've already created. So we're gonna do update colors. That's why it was happening. So, alright, now let's go back to survival game. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit play. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it out now. Drag it in. There you go. You see you cannot equip it. And now you can. Okay, there is one more thing we do need to fix. And that is, okay, first let's make sure it can be built. So, yep, there you go. You just built it. And now the stack is 1. Okay. So I know what's going on, and I'll show you guys in a moment how to fix it. Why is it like that by default? So you can see if I equip it, it's red. If I put it in here, it's still red, although it should be able to build. That's because it's still having exited a collision, so it's not setting it to true. So let's go ahead and click it. You know, you can open everything. And that's pretty much the process you would follow for any other build object. So if you want to do a wall, you can go ahead and do that. That's pretty much how it works. Just make the same process, make the actual item, then make the actual build ghost, then just item data, throw the build ghost in, assign the build ghost its prefab, and that's it. Now we're gonna fix this, and it's as simple as going back into Visual Studio, and on build ghost, we're going to add the start function, and we're gonna do can build equals true. The reason we're doing this is because can build is only true when it exits a collision. But if we're placing it on the ground, even though we're allowed to build, if it hasn't exited a collision yet, it won't be doing it. So we need to have it be true by default. Okay, save it, and let's go back into Unity, test the actual system, and make sure that it works. Okay, so drag it in, and there you go. You can see if I create it and I'm here, I can actually build it. So that's the building system right there, guys. Also, one more thing you have to do. Your build ghost material, select it, and over here where it says opaque, make it transparent. The reason we're doing that is so it takes the transparency of the colors we're assigning. Because as you can see right a moment ago, as you saw, it wouldn't be transparent. So you can actually see through it now. Yep, you can see through it, although I would personally make it a little bit transparent. But that doesn't really matter. But yeah, there you can see it's actually transparent now. Well guys, that's your building system right there. Now, actually wait, let's test one more thing. If I drag it out, okay, it actually gets destroyed. Well, as I was saying, that's the building system right there for you guys. It wasn't that hard to code. It's a pretty simple system. You can basically do it for walls. You could even do foundations and walls, just not have actual sockets, because again, doing a socket system It would take a lot longer, like 2 hours. I don't want to make 4 parts on this tutorial. But being said, as always, if you guys like the video, hit the like button, comment, and consider subscribing. It's always appreciated, and I'll see you